Hey guys, hoping all is well with everybody. In this video we're going to be going over Chapter 2 Geology Terminology Review. So over the next few videos I want to introduce to you all of the geological definitions and terminology that we've come across. However, I don't want to just talk about the geological standpoint. I really want to show you some visual associations and further kind of detail into these scientific definitions to help you better understand the term not only from a geology point of view, but other scientific points of view, okay? So with our first definition, we have oxygen. And we have it spelled O-X-Y-G-E-N. It is abbreviated chemically as O subscript 2. And the reason it is O subscript 2 is oxygen in nature is a diatomic molecule. It is stable when two oxygen atoms are bonded together, and it is very unstable as a monatomic molecule, being just one atom by itself. Geologically speaking, oxygen is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Geologically, it's the most abundant element in the Earth's crust. Scientifically or chemically speaking, it's an odorless, colorless, reactive gas, that chemical of atomic number 8 and the life-supporting component of the air. So in the periodic table, all elements have this kind of setup. They have the atomic number, and then they have the atomic symbol, and then they have the atomic mass on the bottom. Now remember, oxygen is not only in a key part of the air we breathe, but it's also part of key processes like photosynthesis and cellular respiration, which is turning glucose or sugar into usable energy. Okay, so that's our first definition. Let's look at our next definition. Our next definition is plate tectonics. Plate tectonics is the theory published in 1859 that stated 8 large plates and several smaller plates exist together in Earth's crust and mantle. So it was the theory published in 1859 that stated that 8 large plates and several smaller plates exist together in Earth's crust and mantle. Now I know we haven't talked about the crust and mantle yet, but we will in the next few definitions. But one thing I want you to think about with this theory is that the Earth didn't used to be the way it is today. It has changed a lot, and one of those biggest changes was the development of the 7 continents. The way that the Earth used to be is that it used to be one supercontinent, and it was known as Pangaea. But over the interaction of these plates, those continents developed and dispersed over the Earth. Okay? So keep that in mind as we also talk about the layers of the Earth. Alright, so that's our second definition, plate tectonics. Let's look at our third definition. So our third definition introduces the layers of the Earth, and this first one is the crust. And that is spelled C-R-U-S-T, and it is the Earth's outer layer made of solid rock. One association that you can think of to think about the crust is, think about a piece of bread. So bread, just like the earth, has an outer layer called the crust. Okay. And then you can think of the inside of the bread is kind of the core and the mantle, which we'll cover in the next few definitions. But think about, okay, so then the crust is the outer layer of the earth. The crust is an outer layer of bread. Okay? Let's look at our next definition. The next definition is the mantle, and that is spelled M-A-N-T-L-E, and the mantle is the middle layer of the earth. From Moho to 1,800 miles beneath the surface. Okay. Now, one thing I really want you to keep in mind with this definition of the mantle is there are two parts of the mantle. There's the lower mantle and there's the upper mantle. Okay, and they're divided into two parts. Okay, but let's go on to our next definition. Our next definition is the core. And this is defined as the central part of the earth that extends from the mantle to the center. The central part of the earth that extends from the mantle to the center. One association you can think of when you think of a core is think of an apple. So we have an apple here, and at the very center of an apple is the apple core. Okay, so that's one association you can make, is that the core is the very center of the earth, and then geologically it extends from the mantle to the center. Okay, alright, let's look at our next definition. The next two definitions are definitions that run kind of with each other, so I'm going to put both definitions first and then the visual picture. So we have syncline, and that is spelled S-Y-N-C-L-I-N-E, and it is the rocks that bend downward during the folding process. Forming a trough-like structure. And then the second definition to go with that is the anticline. And its definition is rocks that buckle up during the folding process forming an arch-like structure. Okay, so to illustrate these ideas, I'm going to draw a picture up here. So when you have a process of folding, you have two ways that rocks can fold, so to speak. And they kind of occur like this, almost like in waves. When we're looking at the folding process of a syncline, the folding is making this trough-like dip formation. Okay, so we're going to label this as the syncline. And then the arch-like structures that form are the anticline. And one way that you can also associate this is if you draw a circle, the anticline, if you draw it, forms that arch. The syncline kind of has a little trough. And if you put one over the other in alphabetical order, that's a way that you can associate to remember which forms the arch, what forms the trough. Okay? Let's look at our next definition. Alright, our next definition is transition. Transition is defined as the area in between the upper and lower mantle. So when you think of the word transition, transitioning is from going from one kind of place or position to another. So think about it. Remember when I mentioned earlier, the mantle is going to have two parts, the upper and the lower. So this transition is an area that we move from one position or part of a position to another. Okay? Alright, let's look at one more definition. Our last definition for this video is going to be lithosphere. Lithosphere is defined as a region of Earth's crust and upper mantle. Okay, and lithosphere is spelled Lithosphere. Okay, so it's the region of Earth's crust and the upper mantle. Alright, so these are the definitions I'd like to cover in this video. In the next video, we'll be continuing with the terminology review, but I hope these definitions and associations helped you guys out. If you guys have any questions about these definitions or terms, please don't hesitate to message me. I'd be more than happy to answer those questions for any clarification. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and take good care.